The hospital bombing in Gaza has left Arab countries infuriated. Support is pouring in for Palestinians from across West Asia. Overnight protests broke out in at least a dozen Turkish cities. The people of Turkey marched with Palestinian flags and chanted slogans denouncing Israel. Many gathered outside the Israeli embassy in the capital. In the early morning hours today, thousands of Turks gathered in front of the Israeli consulate in Istanbul. They clashed with the police in angry demonstrations. Turkish security forces had to use pepper spray, smoke grenades and water cannons to disperse the crowd. In fact, the Turkish President Erdogan said that the hospital blast showed that Israeli attacks lacked the most basic human value. Seeing the situation, Israel's National Security Council has now issued a warning against travel to Turkey. It has also urged Israeli citizens that they should leave as soon as possible. Israeli airlines are now arranging flights from Istanbul for Israelis who want to leave. There were demonstrations in Yemen as well. Hundreds of protesters took to the streets of the capital, Sana'a. In Lebanon, more than 100 protesters gathered near the US embassy carrying Palestinian flags. The Lebanese police sprayed water and tear gas on them.
We're here to let the Arab people wake up. Free Palestine. Okay, so it's time to wake up, please.
Meanwhile, the Iranian capital, Tehran, saw massive crowds take to the streets to protest against a hospital attack in Gaza. They marched from the Palestine Square to the French and British embassies, rallying till 3 a.m. Tehran time. Listen now to what some of the protesters had to say.
The Palestinian people did not commit a crime. They don't want anything. That is their home. They don't want to leave. I expect the rulers of my country, Iran, to support Palestine and the Palestinian people.
Speaking of the leaders, Iran's foreign ministry has condemned the hospital bombing of unarmed and defenseless people in Gaza. It has called for an oil embargo and other sanctions on Israel. Iran has also urged the members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation to expel all Israeli ambassadors. This comes as the OIC members meet in Jeddah to discuss the escalating war. In Jordan, hundreds gathered outside the King Abdullah Mosque in Amman. They condemned Israel and firmly opposed US President Joe Biden's visit. Some even attempted to storm the Israeli embassy. The protesters scuffled with the police as they barricaded the route to the embassy.
During the foundation of Israel, when it occupied this area, they are breaching international humanitarian law. Geneva Agreement is obvious in this regard. Medical centers or hospitals should not be touched. But what is happening are crimes against humanity under the American government's cover.
Jordan has also called off President Biden's planned summit with Arab leaders. Jordan's King Abdullah spoke out, saying the bombing was a massacre and a war crime that one cannot be silent about. Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi said, and I quote, "This war and the aggression are pushing the region to the brink." He added that Jordan would only host the summit when all participants agreed on its purpose, which would be to stop the war. Criticism has poured in from several Arabic leaders. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi issued a statement against Israel. He called the blast a clear violation of international law. Saudi Arabia too strongly condemned the explosion as a heinous crime. Meanwhile, Qatar's foreign ministry issued a statement declaring the expansion of Israeli attacks a dangerous escalation. You see, Arab countries have openly picked a side in this war, and they are now voicing support for the Palestinians. And for more on this, we are now being joined by Ahmed Ali Ibrahim. He is a political analyst and US-Saudi relations expert. I want to start off by talking about the protests and anger that we are seeing about what's happened in Gaza, a hospital bombed, no accountability just yet. How do you gauge the mood across the Middle East right now?
Yeah, the Middle East is fuming. Listen, there is nothing new regarding the Palestinian file. I mean, whether Hamas attacked Israel on October the 7th, and it's definitely a heinous attack, and it's not acceptable. This is what the Palestinian people go through day in and day out, whether it is in Gaza or in the West Bank. So has been going more and more. Now, Hamas, which is a brutal militia, they decided to take the faith of many people, Palestinian people in Gaza, and Israel has retaliated not on Hamas. They actually retaliated on the whole Palestinian people, 2 million people. So it's like you are fighting ISIS in Iraq and you decided to carpet bomb the whole nation of Iraq. So it is not fair for the Palestinian people. It is starting fuming in the whole Islamic world and in the whole Arab state. And could have been combated in another way, actually, that Israel can gain momentum, especially with normalization with the GCC country and other people, but they chose the military and killing innocent people. And this is what's going to create more hostile in the region. We tried in the past 2 years to actually zero the problems in the whole region. Saudi Arabia now is having a relationship with Iran. Everybody is having their good day. And all of a sudden we have this happening, and we have the United States pulling 2 aircraft carrier with 2,000 elite experts of the military with the newest weapon. It doesn't look like that it's going to stop at Gaza. It seems like a World War III is coming into place. This is just the start of the episode.
World War III is coming. I also want to talk to you about this latest update coming in. You're joining us from Riyadh. Saudi Arabia has also advised all its citizens to leave Lebanon immediately. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. Saudi Arabia announced probably a year and a half ago that Lebanon is no-fly zone for the security reasons. And now they are really announcing this for the people, that if somebody went to Lebanon or there's a Saudi citizen in Lebanon, they need to depart immediately. I'm sure the government is anticipating that there will be some bombing in maybe south of Lebanon or in whole Lebanon. You know, if Hezbollah is shooting at Lebanon, I would take Hezbollah the next day. For me, I consider Hezbollah is a military militia, but that doesn't mean I carpet bomb 10,000 square kilometers of innocent Lebanese. So this announcement actually comes from the Saudis to protect their citizen. It's always been in place for the past year and a half, and they just announced it to reassure that any Saudi with Saudi passports need to leave the soil of Lebanon.
Right. Now, how do you view President Biden's statements that were made a little while from now? Aid for both Gaza and West Bank, strong support for Israel. He also says that the hospital blast was not carried out by Israel's military. How do you view all these statements?
God bless President Biden. I don't know where his mind is, but definitely he's taking this as a tool of the internal campaign of 2024. He wants to maximize it. He's trying to get the Jewish lobbyists in America on his side and everybody on his side to protect Israel. This is going to gain him some ground, so he's using it for his campaign. And basically, there is enough evidence that the IDF have beyond reasonable of doubt that they targeted this hospital and, brutally killed all those innocent people, men and women and children. But, as all the indication around the world, it says that Israel has done it. The Minister of Defense actually tweeted before he actually targeted the hospital, and he deleted the tweet. All the evidence are there, but definitely the unconditional support of the United States to Israel is putting the United States in a very bad situation among the Arab nation. The Arab people and the Muslim people are more fuming from the United States policy, and this is just only unfortunately going to give more leverage to the competitors of the United States in the region, like China and Russia, to take place and to start make policies like what China did, brokering a deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Definitely the trust on the Palestinian file is definitely not with the United States.
Would you call this a diplomatic failure on the US president's part?
I think it's a very huge diplomatic failure. This file has been with the United States for the longest time. It only increased tension in the region. It created terrorism. It created Hamas. It created Hezbollah. It created militia in Syria. It created terrorist militia in Iraq. This is what you're doing. It's a domino effect. If you are not going to have two-state solution and East Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine, this region is not going to rest. And you cannot actually push the Palestinian people to the sea or Sinai. If anybody wants, why don't any European country, which they are civilized and they have the greatest human rights in the world, take 2 million Palestinians on their land? Why they want to push them to Egypt? Why they want to push them to Jordan? What is the status? So I think quit the hypocrisy and come clean and try to put things on the table. And unfortunately, if this is going to continue, there will be no rest for the Israeli innocent people in Israel and for the Palestinians. And, to be honest with you, the Palestinian people are very tough people to kill. No matter how much you kill them, they're going to be standing up. You will see this is not going to end. This is not a solution. Carpet bombing has never been a solution. They've been living like this for the past 70 years.
My final question for you, sir. If you talk about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, Israel will allow aid into Gaza via Egypt. That's a statement coming in. This is what Israel is saying as of now. Do you think there are any conditions attached to this?
The condition is everything has to go through Egypt, and Egypt is willing, and they've been calling and they've been raising the flag to get all the humanitarian assistance through Rafah. However, there will be no one Palestinian coming out of this gate to Egypt. So the tensions needs to slow down. Everybody needs to hold his mood, and ceasefire has to start. As we're speaking now, the Israelis is bombing multiple cities in Gaza while President Biden's there. So they are in a very bad crisis. They exceeded any tragedy that you can think of. But all the Arab nations are backing Egypt in order to send these kind of aids to the Palestinian people. But you cannot have the Palestinian people actually pushed to Sinai or to Egypt.
Right, Mr. Al Ibrahim, thank you so much for your insights, and thanks for joining us on Gravitas.
Sure, thank you.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.